What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And we are back, baby. The MCU has just released a killer film in Jake Schreier's Thunderbolts. Now, I just saw this film last night and I wanted to run you through some of my thoughts. So, interestingly enough, this is the last film of Phase 5 of the multiverse saga. So, this is rounding out Phase 5 before we go into Phase 6, with the first film of Phase 6 being Fantastic Four. So to give a quick overview of my thoughts, Thunderbolts it's a film that does everything that you want an MCU film to do, but it does it in some surprising ways. I'll get into that in a second. To give you a brief idea of what's going on in the film without any spoilers, basically Yelena gets thrown together with a bunch of other misfits, some of who we've met before in previous Marvel films, and they're basically forced into having to work together and figure out, some of their own past problems, get over that, and help someone else get through their issues at the same time. Now, I know that's a very vague outline of the film, but I don't really want to go into any more detail because I think that might spoil what this film is really about. And what this film is really about, and the themes and what it goes into is quite surprising, I thought. It's a lot darker and more serious than I was expecting, and that is actually a good thing. Obviously, it still has that MCU humor, but I think it's really balanced out by some of the themes they go into. So this film, it's about loss, it's about mental health, depression, and how people deal with that, which I thought is, very different for the MCU. They don't usually go into those type of themes, and really how the movie deals with it and how the film ends up resolving is basically based all around those themes. So they make some jokes in the film. This is in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler, about, what do? We just punch, kick, and shoot. But really how they actually resolve the film is not through punching, kicking, and shooting. I'm not going to go into any further spoilers, but that gives you an idea of how they're tackling, the usual superhero film in a slightly different way. And I thought that was great. So yeah, I thought that usual MCU humor, which is definitely there, and there's some great back and forth banter between these actors. They all have great chemistry, I think. But it's really balanced by the themes and some of those more serious topics that the film dives into. So Florence Pugh has been front and center of all the media coverage of this film and the advertisement, and I think that is with good reason. She is absolutely fantastic in this film. She's definitely the heart and soul, the lead of this film. To go into too much detail about what she's going through, again, I don't want to get into spoilers, but she really is the heart and soul of this film. Again, just proving that she's one of the best actors currently working in Hollywood, and probably one of the best actors in the MCU. I think she's probably in my top 5 right now of MCU actors. She's freaking fantastic. Can't say enough good things about her. Obviously, it's not just her in the film. We've also got returning MCU actors like David Harbour, who does more fantastic work as Red Guardian. Really, his work to him together with Florence are just really funny. Great chemistry between them, and I hope we see a lot more of David Harbour going forward in the MCU. Talking a little bit about how the film looks, how it's presented. This is a much more understated MCU film. It's not as flashy or as crazy as some of the other films, especially in this multiverse saga. And I think that's a good thing. This film continues the more grounded tone or feel of Captain America: Brave New World. So it's not going to be as bright and as colorful, but it suits this group of people, these characters, because, like the marketing says, they're not heroes. And there only really is one person who, in a certain scene, does look a lot more flashy and MCU-ish, you could say, and it comes across as meaning to be that way, like he's some sort of advertisement, and I think that was completely purposeful. But yeah, the rest of the film looks great. No serious CGI issues. I know that's been a topic. for the past few years with the MCU, but everything looked good. I didn't see any effects or visuals that really stood out as not fitting or not looking up to shape. But yeah, definitely a darker film in tone and visuals. In terms of the music, I wouldn't say any of the soundtrack particularly stood out to me. What was surprising about it, though, was it's quite somber. I guess that matches some of the film and the themes that are being discussed and gone over in the film. What I will say, though, is when we get to certain points in the film, it incorporates other themes that you may have heard before in the MCU. And when you hear it, you'll be like, holy, I know what's happening. You'll know it when you get there, but we'll leave it at that for now. But yeah, I've got to say, this film really did surprise me. What you could almost look at this film as, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way or look at this as a bad thing, this is almost Black Widow 2. You could look at it as a continuation as from a lot of the points in that film. I also really feel like this is part of a new arc that was started with Captain America Brave New World. It finally feels like the MCU has a overarching arc going on. And you'll know what I mean when you see the film, but you can tell there's actual through lines going through the film. Other characters and events are being mentioned. It's great to have that again because I really feel like the multiverse saga has been missing so much of that. And that's, the glue. It's the magic stuff that the MCU has that no one else has and everyone else has tried to copy. But it's great to see it back in these films again. So yeah, guys, I would give this a solid 8 out of 10. Great film, great cast. Impressive that they're doing the MCU thing, but they're doing it in a different way. I think Florence Pugh is getting all the attention that she rightfully deserves for this film because she's amazing. I reckon go out and see it if you have been, a little bit disappointed with some of the previous films of the multiverse saga. I think this might, bring back your interest into where we currently are. And I think it's doing the right things, pushing the MCU forward as well. Also, guys, make sure you stick around for the mid-credit and after-credit scenes, especially that after-credit scene. It is a must-see. But yeah, guys, thanks for sitting around listening to my take on the Thunderbolts. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.